to talk about when and why employment gaps are a concern for potential employers. Hi, Tammy Homegardner here. The two factors that really make gaps worrisome for hiring managers are the time period in which you were unemployed, and then secondly, the length of time that you spent away from the workforce. You also have to consider the ATS, which stands for Applicant Tracking Systems as well. The ATS are software programs that look for specific things on your resume, and then they score you based on what it finds. So they aren't going to be forgiving of situations in the same way that a human might be. For example, if you were unemployed for a month or two 20 years ago, odds are that your prospective employer won't care about that. And the ATS system won't be programmed to look for anything that far back in time. On the other hand, if the gap was more recent, if it is between the last position you had and now, and longer in duration, then you need to have a plan to deal with it. The reason for the gap in employment also matters. If you had a bad habit of quitting your job on a whim, you're going to be labeled as a job hopper and have a more difficult time explaining why your work history is so unreliable. But if you took time off to care for, say, an elderly parent, go back to school, or you were laid off and took up contract work instead to fill that time, that gap would be far easier to explain to a potential employer. Now, people ask me all the time, what is a length of a gap that needs to be filled? There's no specific length that is carved in stone for employment gaps, but it's very unlikely you will be questioned for a gap of several months, as pretty much everyone knows that it takes time to find a new position, particularly a professional position. And it may take longer to find jobs if there are less so. So the job title and the location also factor in this equation. Now, we also now have the age of the pandemic, and employers aren't really going to question a gap up to a year at this point, meaning because of the layoffs, the pandemic, and everything that went with it. So if you have a recent gap of a year, you don't really need to worry about filling a gap at this point in time. You know, your employers are going to be understanding. They've lived through this crisis with you. Now, the next question that I get asked is, what are reasons for gaps in your employment? Now, there are many things that you can use to bridge a gap, but here's a list of some of the best ones that employers understand readily, and this means outside of the pandemic, of course. 1, you were simply laid off. The company downsized. The company reorganized. 2, elder care, child care, a personal medical issue that you've now resolved, relocation, furthering your education, gaining certifications or gaining specific licensing. You did volunteer work. You did contract work, or you were actively searching for the perfect job position during that time. So there are many reasons that qualify. Now, in my next video, I'm going to go over exactly how to go about creating this gap statement that we're talking about for your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So what I'd like you to do is please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. So look for the one where we're going to show you how to actually make or bridge this gap. Thanks for listening.